Hey, thank you for coming by. Tory Magoo 44. Today is April, what are we at? Well, it's now the 7th. Just a little bit after midnight here in Los Angeles, California. And I wanted to talk to you about something. I've spoken about it many, many times, but every once in a while I think it's important to bring it up. Um, it has to do with kind of the history of people leaving Scientology. And a bit of it, mainly I want to let people know who are newer to this whole thing. I know as you watch different shows, especially Leah's show, you get to see the different interviews and you get to see the actual behind the scenes, really awful things that have happened to some of these people. And they're just some of the hundreds of people that have been harmed and hurt by the Church of Scientology. And it's awful. I want you guys to remember, because people always say to me, they go, well, I would never do that. And it's so funny to hear that. It's like, I would never do it either. None of us would do that if we had the information that you people have that are on the internet. But most of us that got into Scientology, I got in 1969. There was no internet for me until 2000. So that's a long, long time. And you absolutely are not allowed. And I know people say they would never let that happen. Neither would I. I was a free speech advocate. But it's a mind controlled train. It's a slow train. And, they slowly cut you off from your friends or anyone that's antagonistic to Scientology. And at the time, we believed it. We really thought it was going to work. We were on the train. You know what I mean? We're going. We were in the Scientology Truman Show. That's what I call it. And it's like that because it's like the Truman Show. He was in literally a studio, a movie studio, a movie set, and he was the only one who didn't know it was a movie set. So people around the world, just like Scientology, talk about it, laugh about it, make jokes about it, read about it, all kinds of things. But they can't. They can't. They're in the show. That's like a high crime to be talking to me or listening to anyone or reading Tony Ortega or anything like that. Recently, there's a few people on the internet that kind of have whatever, they're against each other. And I try to remind you that is run out of the Office of Special Affairs. That is they have three goals for the internet. One is to distract off of any topic having to do with L. Ron Hubbard, the Church of Scientology, David Miscavige, or anything they don't want known. Anything. Their whole goal, and I've watched my friend Bill Yachty had 10 different identities, and he would just run them, putting up stuff, just junk, just to keep everything off of Scientology, right? That's number one. Number two is to degrade actual activists and when you're in, you believe they're these evil people. They're not. Scientology actually, and I showed the ministers this and they freaked out. But they actually not only declare you suppressive, they put it in writing, they make up a bunch of lies about you, they refuse to talk to you about it, they'll never hear your side of the story, which shows you, okay, how true could it be? If it was really true, they would come over and talk to me about it, wouldn't they? They would be willing to hear my side of things, as any normal person would. But no, they're a cult. So they don't want to hear my side of things. They can't. They're afraid if anybody talks to me. That's why they write all these things about people, because they have to. Because if they do anything, if they believe at all what we're saying, they're going to walk out the door. We say it all the time. Everyone I know, ex-Scientologists, anonymous, critics, never ends. Look at both sides. Make up your own mind, because we know if you look at both sides, you will never stay in the Scientology Truman Show. It is a soul-sucking, multi-level, financial rip-off, fraudulent business pretending to be a church. That's really what it is. That's my definition of it. It's bad. It's bad news. It's not like a little bit bad. And they say, well, every church, you have to give donations. No, every church. I was raised a Catholic. They pass around something you can donate, but it isn't like you have to pay. Scientology is like a triangle. You have to pay more and more the higher up you get. Into the thousands, into the hundreds of thousands. It's a lot of money, and it's a big, big scam. So, the The first one is to distract. The second one is to grade anybody that they don't want listened to. Doesn't matter who it is. If they feel like the people understand and know things, they don't want people listening to them. So they're going to start running their programs, putting them down. And they're very slow at it. They're very covert. It's very sneaky. Bill Yachty himself told me, and I worked for him as a volunteer. And he was working for the Office of Special Affairs, which are their basically PR and legal, but they also run these really sneaky, ratty programs in it, which I didn't know. I really didn't believe they did it. I didn't. It's brainwashing. That's all I can explain it as. But anyway, he told me ARS was the original news group that was on the internet, and it was linear, where somebody would write a topic, and their whole goal was to drive the topic down to the bottom of the page and onto the second page, because they said not that many people read the second page. So if they can't get an argument going or divide and conquer or getting the critics fighting with each other, if they can't get that going, then they just start sliming the area with just anything. At the time when I was doing it, they were doing all this anti-psychiatry posts. The day that I finally looked, because I was too afraid to look, because Yachty had told me all these lies about the internet and scared me. But finally I did look, and the day that I looked, there were baking recipes, how to make German chocolate cake, how to make cupcakes. And in between it were people saying, I didn't say that. Scientology is changing my words. And I thought, oh my God, it really freaked me out. It was like, wow. Because these critics had been telling me all this stuff, and I was just like, no way, not true, not true. I was just sure we were on the right side, they were on the wrong. But it isn't that way, and it's really freaky when you wake up, because it's like a frying pan in the face. It's like, bam! And you all, I want you all to remember, the new people in, that when I woke up in 2000, there were 3 books. That was it. There were 3 books. And that was it for years. There were 3 books, nothing else. Very little media would interview anybody at all. So there were people that had left and spoken out. Then there were ex-Scientologists that left and spoke out. Critics are people who were never in, but they started fighting for free speech on the internet. Thank God, because they really saved the day. And then Anonymous showed up in 2008, and everything changed from that. And I hope someday Leah does a show on Anonymous and what happened there, because a media person would not do an interview with almost anybody. Tony Ortega did with me in 2000, Sympathy for the Devil. You can look it up. It's about me and Andreas Heldeland in Norway. And thank you, Tony, for that. So he did, and Mark Ebner did. He did the story on Philip Gale. He did that story, and I think a couple other ones too. So there were a few journalists that would talk about it, but most people shied way, way away from it because of the church, because they were always threatening to sue them. But once Anonymous hit, we had 9,000 people around the world in almost every major city in one day. We all picketed. And that was it. People came out of the woodwork. I mean, it was so fantastic, because everyone had been like, I'm so-and-so, and I'm so-and-so. And I'll never forget Mark Headley coming up to me and him going, I'm blown for good. I'm Mark Headley. And it was like, yes. It was really great. David Miscavige's niece came out. Just people all around. Jeff Hawkins and all these guys wrote books. It was really great. So now there's like tons and tons of books that are out, writing about different people's stories, experiences, what's happened, and the information's out there to be seen. So you can always Google it and look at it. But I want you to just understand that if you see this big fighting thing, don't jump into it, because it's generally run. Even if it isn't, it's feeding their goals. And people can say, oh, I don't care about OSA. Well, if you really understood what they were doing and how much they were manipulating different things or trying to, you would never want to give them statistics, because it's really creepy. It really is. And the stuff they've done and how they act, it's really, really creepy. I'll tell you my last story. I've told it many times, but I think it's really important. I was standing next to Bill Yachty, who was running this whole program with all these 10 different identities. And I didn't really get it. I wasn't on the internet, and I didn't get what he was doing. And all of a sudden he goes like this. Lights up a cigarette. He goes, bam, okay, let's go. Let's go to dinner. And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, oh, don't worry about it. These guys will be fighting for hours, if not days, if not weeks. Let's go to dinner. And that was it. We walked out, and I thought, I have no idea what he's talking about. I didn't then. I really didn't understand how it worked. But now I get it. And when I see it, I go, oh, Jesus. So try to stay away from that. The best thing to do is just get back onto exposing the abuses of the Church of Scientology. Because that, as Bill said, there's only one thing that we can't handle. You know what that is? If nobody answers. That's the only thing. He said it doesn't matter what they answer. So long as they answer, it keeps our distraction going. You know, like if they start a distraction thing and you answer their distraction, good, now they're rolling. They're rolling on the distraction. Or if they just start the degrading on somebody and you answered it at all, then that whole thread goes. Whereas if you don't answer it, where is it going to go? Now, that's why he started the other identities, because he was kind of out in the woodwork. So then he'd start another identity, being Mary, and, you know, arguing with him and Joe and Tim and John. And pretty soon a real critic would come in. And that's why he said, bingo, let's go to dinner. Because it was a real critic that finally jumped in and answered one of his, you know, whole threads that he was trying to get distraction on. It's weird. I didn't get it till I was out. I really didn't. It took me a long time. And the Church of Scientology chased me across the country. The Tampa police got me out of the Tampa airport. These guys are hardcore weird if you get on the bad side of them. But don't be afraid of them. They're weasels. They are. And they're minuscule. They really don't have, all they have is, it's like gangs. The only power they have is in volume. That's it. That's it. And generally, they're just trying to scare people. That's it. That's all there is. And the good thing is we are on the right side of truth because we're telling the truth. That's it. They have to tell the lies. They have to tell how bad we are. Come on over to my house and talk to me and see how bad I am. If you want to talk against me, you give me a call. My phone number's on the internet. I put it up there the day that I left. Call me up. I'll talk to you. Anyway, in the meantime, have a wonderful weekend. It's going to be a really pretty weekend. So you have a nice weekend. And thank you, Joey. Got my hair done. See? I'm purple. I'm purpleized. All right, there you go. Anyway, I love you guys. You have a good weekend. Bye.